Hello, writers, and welcome to Writing for Screens. Today's live episode, Do I Have to Be an Influencer? My name is Glenn Gers, and I am the Chief Operating Everything here at Writing for Screens, a channel that I have created in order to take some of the skills and tools and insights that I had to figure out for myself in a 25-year career writing for TV and movies. On my way out of the business, I am trying to leave behind a bunch of that information. I have done that by creating this channel here. Whoa, that's the wrong one. Here's a screenshot of the channel main page, and if you look down towards the bottom, you will see a bunch of playlists. The first 3 playlists after the For You section is Screenwriting Essentials, Screenwriting Tools, Skills, and Craft, and The Process, Being a Writer. These are 50 10-minute video lessons on specific topics. So I'll choose a topic, I make it the headline, I make it the thumbnail. It's very easy for you to browse through and say, oh, dialogue, character, plotting, instincts, genres, flashbacks, all these different things. I have set them up. There's 50 of them. They're here. They are free. I urge you to take them in when you can, as you can. And just a bit of news. I have turned these lessons and the basic ideas of them into a book. And the book exists now. The book is out. There's pages, there's words, all the lessons. This is it. So you can order it. It's on Amazon. I am working on getting it on other places. I'm working on getting it on books, to order it at bookstores if you can. But at least for the moment, wanted to let you know, you hear it here first. I have not yet put out any information about it. This is the first announcement that it exists. Just wanted to let you know because you're here and it's great to share with you. I am also on Substack. Here is a little screen grab of Substack. Writing for Screens on Substack. Please join me there. That is where I'm going to be posting most of my new stuff from now on, although I will continue to be doing videos here. Okay, so here's the deal. Let's plunge right in. Last 2 weeks ago, we did the last Ask Me Almost Anything. And it was about perfectionism. And there was a comment on that video which really stirred me up to talk about 3 things. Influencer culture, how I do this thing, because it came up in the comment, and the topic of self-doubt. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about those things because it was very moving. It was a very moving comment. It was very, very moving. Oh gosh, I didn't put the graphics up here. Hold on. Hang on just a second. Let me get them on here. Here we go. Right. This will just take a second. There we go. Okay, so this is the first comment, first part of the comment, and it was. I'm not going to talk too much directly about the person who wrote it. I'm just going to say that this really seemed like something that a lot of people are talking about. I feel stuck between my deep desires and my fear of being seen, misunderstood, criticized. Even praise scares me. I would like to share my art, just my art, but disappearing at the same time. All of this is linked to self-doubt and an idealized version of ourselves. And that's a very powerful thing. This is really, really strong stuff. So the first thing I want to talk about, the rest of the comment, I didn't want to type it all out. The commenter wrote, part of me wishes I could open a YouTube channel, but I cannot choose the right name. I don't want to deal with video recordings. I envy all the people that are carefree like you, that just turn on the camera and speak. That's what I wanted to get at, because that's not how it happens, and that's not what you're seeing, and that's not how our culture is working. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about that, because right now I think a lot of writers are confused as to how to succeed. And a lot of that is because the mythology, the archetype of success has drastically changed in the 21st century. Just very briefly, in the 20th century, there were kind of these four archetypes of success. They kind of went one after another. Some of them overlapped and stuff, but there was the salesman, starting in the 19 teens and through the 40s or 50s, the salesman, the person who had great personality and knew how to win friends and influence people. And then there was the genius artiste who wasn't a salesman, but they were the great creators. And there was a gangster. That was another way you could be successful in the 20th century. Or the financial player. Towards the end, after the 60s, there came this image of the Gordon Gekko, the arbitrageur, the wheeler dealer. And the thing about this is that these have all been discredited in this century. Even by the end of the 20th century, the salesman seemed very pathetic and false. The genius artiste has really been revealed to be quite selfish and abusive. The gangster, while admirable, and there's still a cultural admiration of gangsters and tribal leaders, but they're violent and they're oppressive and they tend to undermine any sense of society. Likewise, the financial player at first seemed, lifestyles of the rich and famous, but then pretty soon it was recognized that they were greedy and arrogant and extremely destructive. And so what we're got to now is the influencer. That's really the main way that people, even movie stars, even TV stars, they all have podcasts, they all have lifestyle brands, they're all doing all this stuff because right now the archetype of success and the business model of success is this concept of influencing. And I want to talk about that because a lot of people confuse artistic success and public success, influencer success. The point about influencing success is that the new mythology is that anyone can use digital technology, put themselves out there. If you work hard enough, if you really grind, and if you optimize everything, and you're attractive, and you make yourself attractive, and you have a hook, and then you can become a brand. And your personality itself becomes the business. And this is the exact opposite of making art. And that's just why I wanted to talk about this, because in fact, what I'm struggling lately with the fact that I am trying to diminish this part of my life. I love teaching, but this YouTube or video influencing thing is actually taking away from my creative time as an artist. The thing about art, the thing about making art, is that you are making a thing that exists without you, outside of you. It exists on its own. This has caused a lot of trouble, as we reckon with the fact that the personalities of the people who create work and the work itself are very drastically different, and sometimes the personality is hateful while the work is beautiful. But the main thing is that the work matters more than the person. That is the key to art. That is the opposite of influencer culture. The other thing about art is that it is distinct and discrete. It's a unit of art, and that you don't just get more and more of it, a constant feed over and over all the time. That's not how art works. That's how background noise works. That's how infotainment works. But art is the exact opposite of what we are all being conditioned lately to decide as successful, as the way to succeed. Many writers are told that they have to have a personal brand, a personal story. They have to be like, if you're a screenwriter, you're told that you're supposed to tell your personal story when you're trying to sell a script. I find this ridiculous. It's a lovely little side thing, but if the script doesn't stand on its own, it does not matter if you grew up in a teepee on an island in the middle of the Pacific left there by sharks. It doesn't matter. What matters is you have created a thing which stands without you. You can make it and disappear. And in fact, we all do disappear. Hopefully our art will go on beyond us, but that's what happens. The fact is, influencers are not creators. They are not artists. Creators and artists, it's a tricky thing. I believe that that is essentially the same thing. Content producers is different, but creators are artists. The whole point about that is that there's a person making a thing and giving it to you. A host, an influencer is a host, is an intermediary, is that they're talking to celebrities or they're playing games or whatever it is that they are doing. The truth is, influencers are not, they are themselves the product. And I beg you to recognize that if you choose to do that, you certainly can choose to do that, but that is not being an artist, and that will not produce art. There is certainly an art to being an influencer, and some influencing is really great. I am not saying it's not. But I think the important thing to recognize is the difference between being an influencer, a host, a content provider, or being an artist. And the other thing that you have to remember about this is that the influencer model of success is built on the concept that in the digital century, companies set up platforms to distribute material. But the thing that was different from all the earlier distributors, the networks, the movie studios, the publishers, the thing that's different is that these new platforms, they said, what if we don't make anything? We just open up a place and let everybody else come in and make stuff and put it out there. They will do all that for us. And then we will take this and we will steer it and we will tilt it and we will make sure that it's selling. But the fact is, the platform, the companies, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Substack, all of them, they are simply saying, we're going to open up to everybody to put stuff on here, and then everyone who wants to get that stuff will come here, so that we are profiting from both sides without doing anything. And the one thing that they are definitely not doing is gatekeeping. Because it used to be that if you saw a movie from a movie studio, you could say, well, at least it's going to be competent. At least it's going to be chosen from among the other things, and it's going to be well done. And in fact, in some cases, you get different publishers or different theaters or different movie companies, and you'll say, I like that thing. I like A24. I don't like Skydance. Whatever it is that you think, because the companies actually had a vibe. Likewise, back in the old days, Warner Brothers and MGM were actually quite different. But the main thing is that they were saying, we are going to take care of choosing the good stuff for you and steering you to the good stuff. The platforms are basically saying, it's kind of anyone's guess. What we'll do is we'll tell you what either we want to steer you to because somebody paid us to, or because it fits our values, or mainly, we're just going to tell you what everybody's looking at. And that is an extremely, extremely different concept of culture. I have to say, honestly, I do believe that we no longer know what culture is, what our cultural communication even is. And this has happened very fast, and it has honestly disoriented everyone, and nobody really knows what to make of it and where it's going. So let's just talk very briefly. I want to get out of this topic, but I do want to say the good side about this digital influencer culture, this platform culture, is anyone can play. They've opened, anyone can put a thing on YouTube. The bad side is there's really no support. In other words, no one's saying, we are going to set these values and we are going to hold them up and you can work towards them, and anyone who comes towards it will get that value. It's just a free-for-all, only based on attention. And the other downside is that culture is blown to bits, and we don't honestly know what culture is anymore. And finally, the odds of you getting yourself any of that attention are minuscule. They are actually smaller than they used to be with the gatekeepers. Because at least with the gatekeepers, you could work towards their gate. You could find out what they wanted and try and work towards it. Now, algorithms and things are complete black boxes. In fact, it has been said that many of the companies don't even know what their algorithms are doing. and especially with AI. So we got a really serious problem here because an artist cannot in any way judge what it is that will be distributed widely. That's really bad. But it does open up what I believe is the best part about it, which is that you just can stop caring about that and just do your thing. The bad thing is you cannot make any kind of plan for succeeding in terms of finance or popularity. But the main thing is we're not going to stop this. None of us individually. Hopefully we can all get together and stop it. And I think that would be a good idea. But do know what it is. Understand where our culture is right now, which is it is a business model in which they get all the creators to scramble and hustle against each other to supply a hungry crowd. Okay? That's gladiators. That's the old Colosseum. And you cannot win. You cannot win in this system. Even more than in the old system, you cannot win. They win. So this is what I'm trying to get at is, and I'm going to say it again later, but the main thing is the only thing that we can do in influencer culture is do our thing, sustain ourselves, find our thing to do within that, do the best you can, have the satisfaction of building that to the best you can, do it for you. And hopefully some people will like it. That is possible. You really can't tell. I'm not ruling it out. I'm simply saying you can't control it. You can't even steer towards it. Okay. So if you want to do brand influencing, if you want to do that, just recognize it's a different thing than being an artist, being a creator. Very different. I decided to do this because I wanted some way to operate directly. So I went to YouTube. And that comment, it really got me. This comment was, I envy all the people that are carefree like you, and they just turn on the camera and speak, which I do. But what I did was, first of all, I had to figure out what it was that I could speak about comfortably. There's a lot of things I can't speak about comfortably and a lot of things I wouldn't try to. What I did was I tried to choose an area where my enthusiasm and my expertise, this is something I have done for 50 years before I started talking about it. But if you are going to do influencing, you're going to say, hey, I'm going to show my process. I'm going to show my work as it goes along. I'm going to collect myself into a library on this platform. Do that. Absolutely do that. But do recognize that it's not easy. The only way I do it is having done a whole bunch of it in which I was tightly scripted. My first 50 videos, which took years to plan and shoot and write, those were scripted down to the word. Every single thing in those short videos was scripted. Once I did that, I started to open up a platform in which I could talk freely about one narrow thing that I happened to be very devoted to. You have to care about it authentically, I believe. At least this is what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. The main thing about this is I think you have to look at your motive for why you are trying to do these things, like become a YouTuber or something. And what I would say is, are you doing it because you want to be like the people you see doing it, or because you want to do the thing itself? And I really do get down to this a lot. I am doing this teaching because I truly love this topic. I will talk to anyone at any time. I have a fair amount of mental disorder in that this is really all I hang on to keep me sane. And therefore, I talk about it to myself if no one's listening. So therefore, choose something like that. Choose something you can do even if no one cares, even if no one likes it. Many unique artists, they did things that they thought were cool and that they liked doing even when people hated it. That's the only way I know to survive, to make it look easy. The other thing I have to just tell you is you're getting a lot of bad advice. If you go on to any of these platforms and try and get advice on how to do things, like how to be an artist, how to be a creator, you're going to mainly be getting advice on how to succeed on that platform. You're going to get advice which are based in a theory that that we can figure out the metrics and optimize towards success, it doesn't work. There are millions of people following that advice and failing to achieve viral success. So therefore, please recognize that all the advice given on how to succeed is bad advice. It's the way that you actually succeed on any of these platforms is by telling other people how to game the platform. Most of the platform's successes are from people saying, hey, this is how you do a podcast. This is how you do. And the how-to, some of that how-to is valuable. However, it's not going to help you win. It's not. It's just not good advice. And the one thing about it is bad advice for art, for being an artist, for creating. None of these people who are making how-to videos are creating works of art. They're doing great teaching. Some of them are doing terrific how-to. I learned everything I wanted to know about how to do this from watching other YouTube videos and then trying it myself. But that's not the same as being creative and putting it out there. It's very, very, very different. And I just wanted to talk very briefly about these concepts of success and self-doubt and fear, because that comment really broke my heart. And the first thing I just want to talk about is that I believe that self-doubt is just fear. That's really, really all it is. And when we call it self-doubt, we're kind of glamming it up. Okay. Oh, I am so sensitive and I am thinking too much. like, oh, I'm doing a good thing too much. You're afraid. That is the truth. Okay. Self-doubt is just a fancy name for fear. And I have talked in the past about fear. I've talked about it here. Fear of writing this video. I put a link down in the description. And also the idea of, let me see if I can find it, of the thing that happens when you are afraid is that you get stuck. You get lost. There's a whole other video with suggestions about what to do about that. But the thing I would urge you to recognize is that self-doubt is simply fear. And fear, artistic fear, is only conquered by doing. You can't beat the fear and then do the thing. You have to do the thing, and you will slowly but surely gain some experience and confidence. You'll begin to get better at things if you do it over and over a lot. So I just wanted to briefly talk about the way that we deal with this, because I've said it before, just like to say it again. Artistic success is making art. It is not making money from art. It is not being popular. It is making art. That is the definition of success. If you ask any artist what they want to do is do their art. They would love to be celebrated for it, but mainly they want to get to do it. And if somebody said, here's the deal, we'll give you an unlimited amount of money to live your life and do your art, but you'll never be popular. You'll never be famous. You'll never be rich, but you'll be able to do your art. Most artists would say, okay, I'll take that deal. Whereas, and this is the influencer thing, if somebody said, you can be famous, you can be rich, but you don't get to do your art, you have to do other stuff that other people want, that's the deal that most people are given. Okay, very, very briefly, I just want to talk about what it is you fear when you fear. Because the things that you fear are ridicule and criticism, and you're going to get it. You're going to get people who hate your stuff. You're going to. I get the most positive feedback I've ever seen on the internet, and still I get people saying some hurtful things to me. And that's okay. It's what you put yourself out for when you create or put yourself out. The failure to make money, give it up. Art is a terrible way to make money. All you want to do is break even or lose what you can afford to lose, and keep doing it. And the other fear is failing. And my answer would be, change your goal. If you're afraid of failing to win an award, to be famous, to sell a lot of copies, change your goal. Artistic success is about making art. There is no formula for success. My personal plan is simply you make art, you put it out there, and you survive while doing that over and over. That's it. That's the game. Okay, let me get into your comments and questions because there are tons of them and I've talked way long. Okay, I'm going to go back to the very beginning and start some hellos. Hello, Thomas Lewis. Hello, YX11. Hey, Violet Wolf, you made it. Hello, Nishaj and Art of Adam Lum. You are so welcome, Violet Wolf. And Jace W. Steed. Oh, gonna grab a copy of my book. That's great. For those of you who were not here before, yes, the book exists. The book is here. These are comments, by the way. These are all real YouTube comments. The book is here. It's got everything I've ever said is here, and it ends. Go write something. It does. So this is it. It's a book. It's in paperback. It's on Kindle. I will be working to get it on other platforms. That's what's going on. All right. Yay. Make an EPUB. I did. It is on Kindle. I'm learning how to get it onto Apple and Kubo and Nook and all the other things. Yay. Thank you, Burgundy. Keep the videos coming too. I will. Indeed. It is fun to see all of you here. Congrats on the book launch. Thank you. Congrats on the book. Keep the videos coming. I don't have Substack. Substack is free. All you do is give me your email. You go on. You go to Glenn Gers on Substack, Writing for Screens on Substack. You just give me your email. It's free. I never charge for anything. You can donate if you want. At some point, I'm going to set that up, but it's free. Okay. Finally checked out Francois Truffaut films like you suggested a while ago. He must have had some serious girlfriend issues. Otherwise, how could he ever write those tragedies? Yeah, absolutely. Truffaut did indeed, but he also had some fabulous romanticism to him. If you ever get to see Stolen Kisses, it's really sweet. I believe that many of Truffaut's, yes, he wrote some tragic love stories, but The Soft Skin is brutal. But he also loved filmmaking, and he made a movie called Day for Night, which is fabulously celebratory of filmmaking. Okay. Hi, Pennywise. Good to see you. Hi, Aeroflight. A beautiful description, Next Institute says, of how it feels to share creativity. Thank you. Hi, Doreen. Allison Garcia. I have the same issue as well. I desperately want to shoot short-form narrative video to showcase myself, but another part of me is screaming, no, I don't want my face to be seen. Then here's the thing. You can make anonymous art. You could do it. You can use a fake name. Don't use your face. Don't put your name out there. Call yourself Flower Bleeper. And whatever you want to do, you put it out there and you will build this persona of this anonymous artist, but no one has to deal with you. You don't have to deal with them. It's fine. You're allowed to do that. There is nothing wrong with creating art and putting it out there without making it about yourself. It took decades, but we're living in Andy Warhol's 15 Minutes of Fame world. That is true. He was he was a real visionary on that. The genius only comes from outsiders. Artists are just people who make art. Burgundy, again, with the win. This is true. Although certain artists, especially in the 20th century and the 19th century, did love that persona of the genius. And many of them worked very hard to sell it, to sell themselves as the genius. But in fact, the truth is, we are all artists are the same. They're just people making art. Even Francis Ford Coppola is reviewing movies on social media. The world has turned mad. Well, let's remember, it's kind of fun. I mean, if you like reviewing movies, it's kind of fun to put it out there as long as you don't care about the horrible things that people will say about you. Confusing artistic success with influencer success is the opposite of making art. Yes, thank you. Bam. That's me. If it meant losing your live streams to watch your next creative chapter bloom, it's a necessary sacrifice. Thank you, but that's not going to be what I'm planning is to simply live stream Ask Me Anythings, just so I don't have to prepare and have to think. I just open it up for an hour. But I am going to be trying down the line, when I have completed the projects I'm currently working on, to begin again with the sharing the creative chapter, sharing it. So it'll all be here until people stop watching. And probably I'll just keep doing it even if no one's watching, because I do like to walk the walk. Lauren Benny says, I wrote so many drafts of YouTube short scripts, but end up tearing my handwriting every time as I keep thinking they're not good enough. I still haven't recorded one yet. Okay, simple answer. Record one and don't show anyone. Record 2, 3, 4. The point is, with anything you do, if it's writing or filmmaking or anything else, the only way that you are going to get past the it's not good enough is to do it, have it be not good enough, and say, what can I make a little better? That is what I did with these. I made these videos over and over before I put them on, and I had to figure out how mechanically to do it. And then I have to say, don't do it if you're not comfortable on camera. I am only comfortable in this setting of speaking about something I am passionate about. But the main thing is, you will never, ever think it's good enough. So don't worry about that. Think about, how can I make it gooder? Make it a little better. And then the other thing is, make it bad. You can always make it bad and not show anyone, but don't keep making the same thing over it. Try a new, they say, okay, this one was bad because it was slow. Make one that's fast. This one will be bad because it's fast, but it's confusing. Okay, can I get in between slow and fast? In other words, give yourself small, manageable things to try. I'm going to be slower. I'm going to be faster. I'm going to be louder. I'm going to have a better lighting. I'm going to get a microphone, whatever it is. Or if you're writing something, try different versions of it, but try to keep doing it. Don't wait until you think it's good enough. If you are feeling like everything is bad, that's you. That's not the thing. That is you saying, I am afraid. And it's okay to be afraid, but try to do something that you can put out there in such a way that when the worst happens, and it will, you will get rejected. You will get criticized. You will fail. That's part of being an artist. Get used to it. Do it over and over in a way that doesn't harm you. Okay? Don't do it so that you lose so much money you can't pay your rent. Do something you can afford the time, afford to do. And then just keep doing it. Do it over and over. I am talking from 50 years, more than 50 years of practice. The number of things I have written and failed to complete is enormous. But in that 50 years, I did finally manage to complete about 10% of things I started. But that 10% has now grown to be a dozen feature screenplays, more than 24 jobs that I took on and said, oh, I don't know how to do it, but I have to do it. They're paying me. That's the deal. That is all you can do. Just remember, not good enough is fear. It's not that it's not good enough. It's as good as it can be. You're going to make it as good as it can be. And that may not be good enough to win an award. It may not be good enough to please an audience. But it's as good as you can do. And if you finish that and move on, you are more likely to do the next one a little better. It's the only thing I know. Celie Jack Burgundy says, I think it's interesting, though, having the perspective of established professionals who know what it takes to make a movie is a luxury. Oh, but this is about things like Francis Ford Coppola criticizing. Yeah, I have to say, we are actually, weirdly, because of this podcasty, influency culture, we are getting more input about the making of things than we ordinarily would get. People are talking more freely and less strategically. And so if you do listen to podcasts and hear interviews with people about what they did, and there are some of them that are very good. There's one called The Q&A with Jeff Goldsmith. Highly recommended. There are lots of people talking about their work, and it is valuable. It's just not the same as doing the work. Okay, that's the thing. There's a guy in Film Courage interview who teaches us to be a film critic influencer to get noticed so that someone will buy your script, citing how David Fincher signed one on his YouTube. Okay, yes, that's like saying there was famously a case of a couple of people in the 1980s and 90s financed independent films on credit cards. In other words, they took a credit card, they maxed out their credit, they rented equipment with it, they bought sandwiches for everybody, and then they sold their script or their movie, and they got a lot of money and paid off all that debt. That became a thing that everyone tried to do. So many people went bankrupt, lost their credit, lost their homes. People were horrible, horrible experiences because the fact that one person got lucky in one weird way is not the path to success. There is only one path to success. That is this. Make stuff, put it out there, and keep doing it over and over in a way that you can survive. That is it. Anybody who starts to say, oh, get 1 million followers on Instagram and then they will sell you. Yes, that's true. It's absolutely true. There are two ways to get around the artistic success problem of being a good artist. One is just be really rich. If you're really rich, you can just buy a production. And there are people who have done that. And the other way is to be famous for something else. If you are famous, if you are a famous sports person, if you are a serial killer, you will get attention, and that will make the people who are looking for attention-based entertainment, they will come to it. They actually had to make a law to keep serial killers from profiting from their work. So don't be a serial killer because you can't profit from that. But it is true that if you are a singer, if you are a sports figure, if you make funny movie reviews, whatever it is, and you get millions of followers, yeah, you will have an easier time getting a movie deal. However, the important thing to remember is that step in itself is incredibly hard, time-consuming, and unlikely. You are more likely to succeed at making little indies than you are at trying to be an influencer and get that number of followers. The scale of what is considered success now is so absurd. A movie, in order to be considered a success, has to make hundreds of millions of dollars. Okay, that's nuts. A person who has even 20,000, 30,000 followers is not that important in social media. You have to get millions. Almost nothing gets millions. And honestly, the things that decide what gets millions are very mysterious and not within our control. Okay. Most artists suffer from imposter syndrome. Sometimes the media focus on the person rather than the art. Yes, this is absolutely true. And that is why the best thing that you can do is to focus on the work, not on yourself. Most YouTubers are in the false imagining of the first stage of the Dunning-Kruger effect, which is why they seem ridiculous. Not GG. Thank you. I seem fairly ridiculous. Let's not kid each other. But the other thing about that is that what makes someone popular on the internet is mainly simply something startling, which means that the Hawk Tuah girl she got a podcast deal. She's actually handled it relatively well, but she happened to get an on-the-street interview and did something weirdly sexual and bizarre, and it got popular, and then she's important, okay? That's not a sustainable art form. That's not a sustainable way to do anything. Most of the people who are really famous now are going to be forgotten in 5 years. If you look back 5 years at who was popular then, it is shocking what the turnover rate is now. Okay. Violet Wolf says, Lauren, save whatever you write now and moving forward. You may have a different opinion of your older drafts through future eyes. Thank you, Violet Wolf. That is very good advice. For all of you overly critical, nothing is good enough people, don't throw it out. Save it. Keep learning, keep trying. You might be surprised. Either you might discover it's good, or you might say, oh, now I know how to make it good. Burgundy is asking about that. What if it was good enough to someone else? That's a great question. That is the question. But the main thing is simply, why don't you like your own work? Why aren't you doing something you do like? That there's only one answer for that, which is you are thinking about what other people think, not what you think. If you were thinking it's not good enough for me, you would have within yourself the answer of what is good enough. What's really interesting is when there's something that you like, and it can be something you like for no reason, like I like the color red. I like the sound of waterfalls. Whatever it is, you just inherently like that. I like this kind of ending. I like this kind of character. And you want to do that because then it's good enough. It's just good enough. If you are thinking it's not good enough because you are comparing to other people, you can never be good enough. None of us will ever be good enough. You can only compare, say, is there something in here I like? Why are you doing it if you're not doing something you like? Find something you like. Stop comparing, stop worrying about judgment. Do stuff you like as well as you can, and then see how can I make it better? What else can I do to try and make it something that I am pleased with? You're comparing yourself to people who have done things for a long time, people who have learned by doing, and you are comparing yourself when you haven't learned by doing. The only way to learn is to learn by doing. The other thing is that people are constantly saying, oh, I thought I was really good at this, but I'm actually not that great at that. I am good at this. That's how I ended up doing this, by the way. I am currently trying to learn to draw. And I'm having a really hard time because I can draw certain things that are easy, but I can't draw what I see. I have certain tricks of drawing that I'm doing. But the truth is, it will take me a long time to learn for my hand to get good at capturing the lines, the light, the dark, the shadows, the shapes on a flat surface. That's going to take a long time. And it may turn out that I'm better with color than black and white. I don't know, but we're going to find out by doing. There is no way ever to be good enough if you don't do it until you are burned out. 10,000 hours. They're not kidding about that. Okay. At this rate, it will be no surprise if Martin Scorsese starts a film history podcast tomorrow. You're right. Every actor, director, even producer are making a podcast. And you know what? A lot of them are really good. Did you get around to watching Roofman? Yes, I watched Roofman. I liked it. It's good. It's got a solid, wonderful flavor and stuff. I thought it was terrific. I liked it a lot. Not the greatest movie ever made, but really enjoyable and good-hearted. Next Institute says to Michael, yes, imposter syndrome and influencers are mutually exclusive. Yeah, well, actually, that's what's interesting is a fair number of people are so performative as influencers, and they have learned some external mask which they can present, that you can totally have imposter syndrome and be quite successful. And yet, what about the people who work in finance or record industry executives? They don't reap, neither do they sow, but they rake in huge salaries off the backs of those who do. That's the world we live in. Okay, I would say there's a difference because the finance and record industry are very different. But the record industry people, in theory, they have actual skills. They have taste and they have an understanding of the mechanics of making the record. If they don't, they probably aren't good or even working record industry people. They actually serve a purpose which is different from being a platform. If you are opening SoundCloud or Bandcamp and saying everyone can put their stuff here, that's very different than being an executive in a record company, which is the same as being an editor in a book company or a producer in a movie company, which is you're saying, I am judging the quality and the producibility of this thing. I'm going to select the ones that I believe in, and I'm going to support them creatively. That's what a good record executive does. That's very different. They do so. When you say they don't reap, but they neither do they sow. They actually do so. A good record executive, a good producer, a good editor is someone who understands the mechanics of the art form, understands the business of the art form, and first of all is acting as a guide and gatekeeper, deciding which things are going to be released, and also often helping the artist to work with it. Sometimes that doesn't work well. Sometimes it does. It's tricky. But the point is that's very different from the neutral platform. What do you think about the Spanish screenwriter condemned that Netflix told him the script is rejected because the AI screenwriter says it is not viable? I think it's a tragedy, and I think it's going to happen a lot. The truth is, AI is already reading scripts, and AI will judge your script. I don't know what to tell you except submit it, well, because you never know, the AI might like it, but mainly try to do things where that's not going to be between you and the audience. Do a little short and put it on Vimeo or in YouTube or whatever, or Instagram, it doesn't matter, saying, make your work and put it out there as much as you possibly can. If you are not a filmmaker yourself, you just want to write scripts and give it, then start to meet other scrambling, hungry, broke outsider filmmakers, because they're going to want scripts. They are not necessarily good writers, but they may be very good directors. They may be very good actors. Okay. Without gatekeepers, we no longer have a meritocracy. That's a tricky one. Yes and no. In theory, gatekeepers are creating a meritocracy. In theory, if you consider merit clicks and attention, an algorithm can create a meritocracy. But the question is, what values are the merit? That's the tricky thing about meritocracy, is that meritocracy, there is not an absolute merit. There is not an absolute value. You can say that's merit and that's not. Any meritocracy is actually steering towards values. And those gatekeepers, be they humans or algorithms, are always creating that. Why do people boycott Woody Allen for misconduct but not Clint Eastwood? Clint Eastwood endorsed Donald Trump. Well, first of all, a lot of people endorse Donald Trump. So therefore, I expect there are a fair number of people who are boycotting Clint Eastwood. They haven't made a big industry-wide thing about it. That's a complicated thing, but I would say the answer is Clint Eastwood, while he was probably not a very good romantic partner, did not seem to commit the actual crimes that Woody Allen appears to have committed. I've seen fairly convincing narratives that Woody Allen did stuff for which he should be boycotted, which is really hard for me to say because I actually like much of his work, certainly his early work. Okay. By the way, as a reminder, found you through Film Courage. Absolutely. I'm not, I love Film Courage. Film Courage is on a platform. Film Courage is not a platform. The people on Film Courage, they run Film Courage. They're human beings. They make decisions about what to put out. They edit it. They create it. They are crafting. They are making their work. But once again, I don't believe anyone who works at Film Courage, and they're wonderful people, but they would separate what they do from artistic creation. Yeah. Okay, let's slow down on the questions because I'm going to be talking and talking. What do you think about using adverbs in screenwriting? I saw a YouTube channel, Script Fella, and the teacher there said adverbs kill the momentum and tension in a screenplay. What do you know about me? There are no absolute rules. Stephen King, likewise, has a thing against adverbs. I like adverbs. I think too much of anything is going to kill a screenplay, but the idea that adverbs are killing the momentum or tension in a screenplay, that's just silly. That's just silly. Adverbs are fine. Used properly, used judiciously, used effectively, adverbs are dynamite. I personally feel that when people start to, that's like saying, stories about wrestlers are bad, and then something comes out and it's about wrestlers and it's good, like Iron Claw or The Wrestler, and you're like, oh, oops, they're good. Absolute rules saying this is bad are almost always simply a matter of opinion, or even worse, some passed on optimizing trick. So did I, with much credit. Thank you. You're talking about finding me on Film Courage. Yeah, I love Film Courage. I'm trying to get back on there. They're a little busy right now. They got some stuff going on, but I hope to go back on and talk about my book, which I have. It's finally here. Okay. Funny enough, I found most useful advice are either from this channel, thank you, or director's commentary tracks on movies. I can learn much in those Robert McKee or Save the Cat books. Yeah, everyone's different. I personally agree. I struggle with the how-to books, although I did learn a lot about Sid Field 50 years ago. I don't know. All I can say is, first of all, thank you. I appreciate it. I believe that the thing you should do is try, director's commentary tracks or podcast interviews. I got to say, some podcasts are just, let's find funny things to talk about. Some podcasts are about, how did you do that? The Screenwriting Life is a really good one for screenwriters. The Q&A with Jeff Goldsmith, really good one. Backstory Magazine, also by Jeff Goldsmith. There are people out there who are interviewing people and saying, like, how did you do that? And it's great. It's very, very useful. Adam Lum purchased the paperback. Thank you. Appreciate it. I've watched that video like a million times. I could recite it. Fear of Writing. Thank you, Catch Papa Nate. I appreciate that. Loving this episode. All of it. Me too. Okay, speaking of self-doubt. Yeah, let's talk about self-doubt, because I don't think I got enough into that. Editing is irritatingly filled with self-doubt for me. Had a formula to keep me going. Won't know if it works until I finished my book, which kind of sucks. This is actually an interesting thing. If you are caught in fear or self-doubt, as we like to call it when we're trying not to say I'm scared, because I'll tell you something. The reason people don't like to say I am afraid, and they say something like I am hypercritical or something, is if you admit you are afraid, you have to do something about it. But you can always say, my doubt is impressive. My doubt is admirable. I can't help it. I'm just too good. I'm too good. My critical faculties are too good. I must destroy myself. That's wrong. That's a lie. What you are actually saying is, I am scared. But if you admitted you were scared, you would have to admit what you are scared of. And the truth is, what you are scared of is going to happen. And the only thing you can do about it is do it anyway. Do it repeatedly. Do it at low stakes where the thing, when it happens, doesn't kill you. That's all you can do. There is no other answer. But Lake Filter just did mention one answer, which is figure out a formula. Choose a formula. I'm not going to have adverbs. I'm going to have short sentences. I'm going to use active verbs. I'm going to copy the ornate style of Charles Dickens. Whatever it is, P.G. Wood. I know somebody who just loves and copies P.G. Wodehouse. I, for a long time, just copied P.G. Wodehouse. P.G. Wodehouse was the catchiest style ever. So you can just copy a style. Study someone and steal their style and make that your formula. Look at how Stephen King does it, or how, your favorite, Flannery O'Connor or William Faulkner. However, see what they do and just make it a formula and use the formula for a while. It's okay. It's like training wheels. You are completely allowed to do that. Mark Twain said, "Do the thing you fear the most, and the death of fear is certain." That's true. I thought you were going to, what if the thing you fear the most is death? Don't do it. But do admit your fear. Admit your fear. Because honestly, when it comes to creative work, what is the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is you write something and nobody sees it. Nobody buys it. Nobody reads it. That would be exactly the same as having not written it and nobody sees it, except you will have written it and maybe one person will see it. Or maybe you'll just feel, like I said, if you do something you like, you'll see it. But also, often people will see it. Fear is what makes us creative, says Burgundy. Sometimes. Sometimes. Yeah, sometimes. I don't know. You see, for me, creativity has always been the thing that's helped me with fear. I have been, since the beginning of time and genetically, incredibly fearful. I, as a child, would not leave my apartment. I would not go out if I could help it. And when I did, I literally was looking, where can I duck in if something bad happens? Where can I go to an adult for help? Like, I was living in terror. And the only thing that helped me feel less fearful was absorbing other people's creative work and doing creative work. And honestly, doing creative work, that took 20 years to get comfortable with. But it did make me feel better about all the other fears. Okay. Why can't I find your book in Amazon Italy? That's a great question, and I don't know the answer to it, so I will look into that. It should be there. I did post it for all the markets. I will find out. I will ask Amazon, hey, I'm sorry I can't post Roberta. I really am. I will work on that. Pennywise, fear. I didn't know I was afraid of heights until I started indoor rock climbing. Fear never went away, but confidence in my partner and the gear overcame it. There you go. This, in every version, it's going to be the same. If you are afraid of dogs, spend some time with some puppies or real safe dogs. Have people around you. Expect to have the panic attack. Slowly over time, you will get a little less fearful. The fear will not go away. That's absolutely true. But it will get manageable and you will still be able to do it. Okay. It's exactly what happened with Audra Winter's scandal. She privileged being an influencer about her art more than being an artist and actually doing work. I don't know who Audra Winters is. Wow. I'll look into that. Okay. I never watched Heat, but a 30-year-old anniversary reissue is coming. Do you think it's worth a watch or worth learning as an aspiring screenwriter? Yeah, actually, there's a lot of good in Heat. Absolutely. Here's the thing, good and bad about Heat. It's very macho. It's very masculine. It's very criminal romanticizing. It's not good for women. It's really not. Although there is something admirable to a certain extent in a couple of the women characters. They're just not, they have a hard time of it. Heat, on the other hand, is very well constructed, just in terms of the plot, laying out the idea of these two characters and their organizations in a battle to get away with crime or to stop someone from crime is extremely well structured. Just, you're watching the criminals work and you're watching the police try to catch them and you're watching the game and it's just good stuff. It's very nicely filmed. There's some really fine acting. It's a nice thriller. It's not the best thing in the world, but it's certainly worth watching. Okay, thank you, Doreen. How long since Hi, Nathan. Wow. Okay. Good to see you. Yeah, it has been a while. The plan to succeed works kind of similar to mine. I have stage 2 where I get to write things that might get me into trouble if I weren't powerful enough. That's interesting. Yeah, no, everyone's going to have their own variation on my plan for success. Here's the thing. This make art, that's yours. You decide. You decide what kind you want to make. Maybe you could say, I want to make the thing most likely to be bought by a big company. Or you might say, I'm going to make the thing that's most likely to be so different it will be interesting. That's on you. Yeah, but you still have to do it. You have to make it and you have to put it out there. And you may be able to only put it out there by submitting it to companies. I would suggest also trying to put it out there in some way. Find some way to get your artwork to people, to an audience. Allison Garcia said, I wanted to experiment to be like Peter Sellers, to play all the roles by myself in a 90-second short form video. I'm so scared of doing so and I don't know how to not show my face to do so. Well, you've set yourself an extra challenge there. I totally understand it because I always thought I would like to perform in my own work, my own films. And eventually I did a short and I cast myself in a minor part and it was an easy part. And I was shocked at how self-conscious I got and how much it was harder to do than I thought. And I wasn't great at it. And the answer I would say is either plan to do that a lot, like make a bunch of shorts in which you play just one character, and maybe don't show it to anyone for a while, or make the character so deeply not you that maybe you feel okay doing it. But honestly, the thing is, if you want to be a performer, you're going to have to get used to exposing yourself to that kind of uncomfortable visibility. That is the only way that a performer performs. You have to get used to that. I would suggest taking some acting classes or some improv classes. Try it, get used to it, but recognize there's no way to be a performer in your own video, let alone be a performer that does multiple parts, if you can't get over the fact that you are going to be embarrassing yourself. I handle it by not looking. I really try to not look at myself. I try not to look at my own stuff. And when I do, I just say, well, it's as good as it is. Enough people like it. But the main thing is you can only do that by doing it a lot, over and over and over. Hopefully something in the material is better than you. So like when I do these videos, I'm pretty confident because I really spend a lot of time writing those scripts and I'm very, I prepare these conversations, that the thing I'm saying is worth hearing, even if I say it badly or if I am just repulsive, which honest to God, there's times I look at myself on the videos and I'm like, oh my God, you're repulsive. That's, I believe, from what I understand, almost everyone who performs has that feeling sometimes. The thing is, do you have enough fun or do you believe in the thing you are doing enough to live with that? That's the only answer I know, Allison. Try, first of all, really, you don't have to do this all alone. There are, and I would suggest, improv classes, especially if you want to do Peter Sellers kind of stuff. Take some very, very beginner class and know that you're going to have to do it over and over and over. That is the only way that anyone does it. Oh, Burgundy had a great idea. Animation. That's also cool. If you can either learn the skills of animation or find an animator to work with, that's a cool idea. Thank you, Burgundy. Okay, I get very afraid, but my desire to share my art always seems to outweigh my fear because I continue to try and create something that I can put out. Nishaj, that is great. That's the struggle. You're afraid, but you still want it. This is it. You guys out there, you're talking to each other and you're saying the things that you need to know. Yes, the only thing that anyone artistic can do is create the stuff because it's either more fun or you like it, or you believe in it, or you just want it to work enough to keep trying. Are there any way to write action movies without getting too bloody? Yes and no. There are certain action movies which stay away from blood violence. But the action is literally like sports, for instance, or a race or a chase. There are things, but truthfully, what they are mostly doing is lying about the violence. In other words, you'll see like a fight scene where things are you get like they do things where cars smash into other cars and then keep driving. Cars actually don't do that. They're created to turn off if they have smashed into something. Likewise, people, they'll have a fight. They're messed up for a week. The only thing I can say is if you want to write action movies without getting bloody, make that, like, that's your challenge. How do you do it? Start brainstorming. What action could not be bloody? What kinds of action are not violent or bloody? That's a great question. Hi, Matthew. No money in serial killing. There goes my fallback. Yeah, I'm really sorry. Son of Sam law. Maybe you can do it elsewhere, but in America, a person who's convicted of a violent crime is not allowed to profit from work that is about that violent crime. If you were to write a screenplay based on something within the public domain, what would it be? Oh, damn, there's so much. Especially because at this point, like Great Gatsby, I think is public domain. Not that I would do Great Gatsby because it's great. It would be sort of cool. I mean, honestly, like the thing you want to do is go back to classic stories and rethink them. Dickens had a lot of great stories. Dostoevsky, Zola, Tolstoy. These are people who wrote fascinating stories about their own time and place. And it would be cool to take those basic stories. And if I had a lot of time, I would want to do that. I think to a certain extent I do. I steal vibes from all of those great authors. Okay. If you are a gangster leader, some said gangster leader kidnapped Chow Yun-fat to force him to film the action film Hard Boiled. Okay. There's always going to be exceptions. I am going to say it's probably better to try to avoid gangsters when you're being creative. Dakota Fanning has said that she has been turned down for film roles because she didn't have enough followers on Instagram. As someone off social media, the way SM has bitten into every level of life social media has bitten into every level of life is bad. Yes, reportedly this is happening a lot. A lot of casting is now being done with a social media check on how popular people are on social media. Obviously, there are some people who are not on social media who are famous enough that they get by without that. But yes, no, this is a problem. The only thing I would say is, work where they're not going to judge that way. That's a company trying to sell $1 billion worth of tickets. Find a company that isn't trying to sell $1 billion worth of tickets. Somebody that's happy to break even. Make your own little thing. Find a theater company. There's ways to avoid that, but any large company at this point is going to be clued in to the influencer culture because that is where the money is. Okay. DF is my first choice to be cast as my main character when Scorsese puts my creation on Netflix. DF. But I don't know who DF is. Sorry. I'm sure it's a reference to something that was said earlier. We're so enamored with success, it's scary to hear there's no guarantees in life. That's why I'm saying, you have misunderstood, because what I am saying is there is success. It's in doing the work. It's making the stuff. That is the success. What is not success is 1 million clicks. There is no way to know what will or will not get 1 million clicks. You think you can. Every year, they put out so many movies, truly believing that they are going to get a lot of tickets sold, a lot of clicks. And they don't. This is the best in the business, but they don't know because no one knows. All right, there is just death and taxes, friend. But I say no to that. I say there is another kind of success. You absolutely can win this one. Just make your stuff and put it out there and keep doing that, because that's the thing. You have to keep doing it. almost every great, weird auteur, they did it a bunch before they get lucky. Now and then you'll get David Lynch, who early on in his career blew up big as a cult. But remember, that was cult in a moment when cult could stir the pot. That time is over. Most success comes from laborious and continual work, creativity, 10,000 hours. Famously, the Beatles, very talented musicians. They weren't really, really good until they had gone out and played every day at lunchtime in this place called the Cavern Club. Every day for months and months. And then, and with a small crowd, nobody knew about them except a bunch of people in Liverpool. And then they went to Hamburg and they played 5 shows a night. 5 shows a night. That's when they got really good. Steve Martin, I've talked about this before. Steve Martin, who is not my favorite artist in the world, but he's really good. But he talked about the way he learned was he worked at an amusement park here in Los Angeles called Knott's Berry Farm. At the time, it was sort of a family-run amusement park, and they had a little stage show where they did comedy and music acts and all these dopey sketches. And he did, once again, 5 shows a day. 5 shows a day. Do you know what that's like? You do 5 shows a day for a year or two, you are going to be an entirely different person creatively. And that is how you get good. That's it. 10,000 hours. Not just planning it, doing it, failing, learning. That is the only way. Okay. Side note, Robert Freeman says, do you know why Edgar Wright is repeatedly praised? I don't understand any of his films. Hot Fuzz, Baby Driver, Not Last Night in Soho. What's gold about them? Well, I think Baby Driver is brilliant. I think Hot Fuzz is really funny. Last Night in Soho is okay. But Baby Driver, I think, is brilliant. That is one of my favorite movies. And the answer is he has a technical mastery of filmmaking and sometimes a very, very entertaining vision of a genre. Very often, like in Hot Fuzz, it's a comedy twist on a genre, or Baby Driver is just a straight out great caper story. I think Running Man is probably going to be a blast. Edgar Wright is not the deepest filmmaker in the world, but he is very, very skilled with the techniques of entertaining popular filmmaking. Nice shirt. Thank you. The Gap. Woody Allen is the greatest filmmaker and film writer ever. That's an opinion. I think he is one of the greats of the 20th century. I think his output meant, because he was so steadily putting out things in his narrow formula, some of them are not that great. But some of his great work is truly great. It is unfortunate that his personality is not great. All right, I saw the Wicked sequel trailer, which seems to be Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz will be the villain. You know, kind of. I mean, if the Wicked Witch is the hero, I'm thinking maybe the Big Bad Wolf could be a protagonist too. Sanchez, all I can say, I just saw that trailer too. I went yesterday to the movies and I saw that trailer. It looked like a blast, I gotta say. Even the first Wicked movie was much more fun than I thought it was going to be. And I am curious about how they're going to deal with the death that in The Wizard of Oz, the Wicked Witch dies. And I don't know if they're going to deal with that in the second or if it's a reinterpretation. I'm actually looking forward to it. Can the Big Bad Wolf be a protagonist as well? If you see The Bad Guys, animated 2 features, there is a Big Bad Wolf, and he's absolutely a protagonist. So it's all possible. Stephen King, by count, uses 30% more adverbs than the norm, but he does it well. Is that true? That's really funny because he made a big thing about not using adverbs. Okay. PG what? PG Wodehouse, Wodehouse. Yeah, P.G. Wodehouse. It was a comic writer in the early part of the 20th century. He wrote about 90 novels in a very specific set. He created the character of Jeeves, the butler who was far smarter than Bertie Wooster, his employer. Um, so anyway, the answer is P.G. Wodehouse. Okay, let me briefly. Sorry, I'm going to take a minute here to type P.G. Wodehouse. Okay. P.G. Wodehouse, he was a British novelist in the 20th century. Oops, I guess that's not going to work. There we go. P.G. Wodehouse. If you are looking for very influential writer, such a distinct style that you can't really imitate him, but everybody tries to imitate him because it's so catchy. He's just a funny writer. Likewise, S.J. Perlman. Okay. But the answer is, can I list out the writers I just mentioned? I can't because I don't remember what I said. But what I would say is that there's many, many. I think I was talking about writing style, or I don't know. I don't remember why I mentioned P.G. Wodehouse. Oh, I think I was talking about style, about stealing a formula. Nathan just bought the book. Love having readable copies of the lessons. Thank you. I am the man for getting things done. Thank you. Well done on the screenwriting book, Phil Colclough says. And thank you. Hi, Phil. Nice to meet you. Are you still working on your novel? Yes. And not enough. But that is my goal. That is my new thing. I have finished the screenwriting book so that I can focus on the novel. And I have just started to get back into it. And I'm very excited about it. And I'm learning a lot about myself. I'll tell you just a brief preview of the thing I am learning is how much I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to writing fiction, even though I am so skilled at plotting and structuring and building characters. Those are all going great, but the actual texture of the words is blowing my mind that I don't have confidence in it. But what I do have is confidence that if I keep going over it, I will figure it out. If I keep looking at each little chapter and saying, A, what is this about? What am I telling the people here? And is that the right thing? Then when I get it, I'm going to just have to keep experimenting with, do I have sort of a jauntier tone? Do I have a hard-boiled tone? Do I have a very wistful tone? Like, I don't know the tone yet, but I'm working on it, and I will keep working on it until it is done. Okay, I have to agree. Watching yourself perform is a peculiar kind of disgusting. Pretty much the hill every performer has to climb. Yes, exactly. Thank you for the amazing stream. May happiness and good health always be with you all. I will just pass that on to all of you. With you all. Happiness and good health. Okay, signing off soon. Wizard of Oz description went viral years ago. Transported to a surreal landscape, a young girl kills the first person she meets and then teams up with three strangers to kill again. It's true. Thank you, Burgundy. Thank you, Next Institute. Thank all of you. See you next week. Until then, I think you know what you're supposed to do, but I'll tell you anyway. Go write something.